Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Vibing with Sleezy, the podcast. This is season 5, episode 8, and I want to thank everybody for listening, tuning in, and downloading. Season 5 has been a blast so far, and I want to appreciate everybody that's been listening to all the episodes and staying up with the season. If you want to listen to the past 4 seasons or any of the episodes from season 5, check it out on any of the platforms where you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can listen to all the past episodes. And then season 1 through 4 on vibingwithsleazy.com, the website, check that out. And then also Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast, Facebook, Instagram. And that's where you can find me on social media. But yeah, show love, leave reviews. And again, thank you for everybody that's been listening. So, I always do each season different. I do different setups, different ways, different episodes, different methods. So, I'm doing another solo episode. Like I said, I got some guests coming up, but I do like doing these solo episodes. I've had good reviews, and like I've said on the past few, the reason I'm doing these solo episodes is over some topics that I want to cover, and I thought would make great episodes. And plus, I love doing these sports preview episodes and these things before big tournaments or the season. I love sports. I'm big into sports, so I think it's always fun, and a lot of my listeners follow that. So I try to get everybody ready. So, like I said, a couple days ago, I dropped the MLB season preview for 2024. I hope everybody enjoyed that, getting everybody ready for the baseball season. So, this episode is about, you know, the big thing in Kentucky, the big thing nationwide, March Madness. So, yes, I'm doing a March Madness episode. I'm going to break down the bracket. I'm going to give you my predictions on how the whole bracket's going to play out, and I'm going to give you my overall national champion winner. I'm also going to kind of just talk about some teams and just kind of the NCAA tournament overall. And, and just break down each section of the bracket. You got East, South, West, and Midwest, and so it's going to be a good tournament. I mean, I love college basketball. It's always been a big part of my life. March Madness has been huge as a kid growing up, especially in Kentucky. I remember getting the newspaper, filling it out, sneaking in school, watching it. Just loved every bit of it, and played the games. And I've played in March Madness pools my whole life, and it's just been a part of my life, and it's like a holiday every year. When it comes, it's something big, and it takes over America, and especially takes over Kentucky where I live. And the Kentucky Wildcats are in it. I think we can make a strong run, and I'm hoping we can win the national championship. I do believe that we have a strong year to do it. But there's going to be some tough contenders, to compete against. But I'm really excited for March Madness just because, after Super Bowl and football's over, you're kind of like, damn, it's over, and you got to wait until, the NBA playoffs and baseball season starts. But bam, there's March Madness to save the day. So overall, for this year's tournament, I'm actually recording this episode on March 17th, which is Selection Sunday. The bracket has been announced a couple hours ago. I'm actually going to release this episode Thursday, March 21st, bright and early in the morning. I'll make an announcement at 9 a.m. like I always do for every episode. And I will pretty much, give everybody a chance to listen to this before March Madness. And also, even if the tournament started, this will be good to listen to. And then also, it's kind of fun to see overall where my predictions land. And, if I end up predicting the March Madness championship. So, overall, the tournament, it's called the 2024 NCAA Division One Men's Basketball Championship, and this has been played for years, and it's always big in other cities. We've had it here in Louisville where we've hosted some rounds, and it's always exciting. It's always fun to see what Kentucky can do. Louisville, Western Kentucky, Morehead State. When you get to see some local schools get involved, you like to see that as well. So it's always fun to follow those local teams besides following the overall tournament. Um, I've always had a blast doing this. When you win a bracket pool, especially when you're competing with friends and people, it's just fun. And then I'll never forget when Kentucky won the national championship. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings in the Highlands. That place is not even around anymore. It's a Korean barbecue place. But I remember being there for the national championship when Anthony Davis and them won, and that was special. It's down there in New Orleans, so that was a special tournament, and just felt good to get that ship. And I hadn't seen that since '96 and '98. But overall, so, like I said, Selection Sunday was March 17th, Sunday. And the first four is March 19th through March 20th. It's always in Dayton, Ohio. They always play four games in Dayton, Ohio to figure out the last four teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament. It's always tough to play in those games and then go right to the tournament. So you got to play an extra game. But for some reason, there's always one team from that first four that always seems to make a run or at least make it to the Sweet 16. So it's always exciting to keep them involved. And of course, when this episode comes out, these games have already played and the results will already be out. But overall, I'm going to break down those first four games in Dayton. It's Howard, and that they're playing Wagner. And Howard's 18 and 16, Wagner's 16 and 15. So overall, I think Howard will make it. I watched that um, tournament, conference tournament that Howard was in, and they played great. Very physical team, drive really well, and got good guard play. Then you have Virginia versus Colorado State. I don't think Virginia deserved to be in it this year. I think St. John's should have. Even if you don't like Rick Pitino, St. John's, he was in his first year there. They had a kind of an up and down year, but they made a strong run in their Big East tournament. Played UConn very, very tough, who's considered the best team in basketball right now. And I think St. John's got screwed, but that's just kind of how things play. And, with conference levels and how different conferences are competitive. There's all these different factors that get involved that pretty much get teams seeded and get into the tournament. So I think Virginia, Colorado State. I think Colorado State wins that. I don't think Virginia is built for the tournament this year. Montana State's playing Grambling. I think Grambling's going to pull that off. Montana State's 500 this year, and they got in, but I don't see them making a run at all. And then the last playing game, which is going to be the most exciting one, and I think this is where this could be a team that can make a run. I think Colorado. Colorado's just having some excitement with NCAA sports out there, with football, with Prime, and basketball. I think they're doing well. They're playing Boise State. Both teams are very, very competitive. 22 and 10 at Boise State, and then Colorado 24 and 10. But I think Colorado makes a run, and I think Colorado, from that first four little mini tournament in Dayton before the big tournament, I think they're going to be the team that makes the actual run of any of the four games that were played there in Dayton. So overall, I'm going to break it down. Let's start with the East. So the East overall, I'm going to read it out, all the teams that made the East and where they're seated, and then I'm going to break down where I think the East plays out. You got UConn at the number one seed playing Stetson, the 16th seed. You got Florida Atlantic playing, who are the eighth seed, playing Northwestern, the ninth seed. You got the fifth seed San Diego State playing the 12th seed UAB. Auburn from the SEC, they're the fourth seed. Now, the SEC got a lot of love. They had 8 teams overall. That's tied for the most this year from a conference. So I love the love that SEC got. Yale is the 13th seed. They're really tough out of the Ivy League. They're going to be playing Auburn. BYU, they got the 6th seed. They're playing Duquesne, the 11th seed, who won their conference championship. Illinois, the number 3 seed, who won their conference championship, will be playing a Kentucky school, Morehead State. They're the 14th seed. And then you got Washington State. They'll be playing Drake. And Washington State is the 7th seed, and Drake's the 10th seed. And then to round up the East, you got Iowa State at the number 2 seed playing South Dakota State, the 15th seed. So overall, this East, when it got announced, a lot of people, a lot of experts were saying this might be one of the toughest rounds. You got a lot of conference champions, you got a lot of tough teams, and then of course you got number one seed UConn, who is considered the best team in college basketball. They're also the reigning champs. They won the championship last year, and they got a very cocky coach, and they got a very strong team, and 31-3. That's a hell of a record. So overall, when I look at this East, you look at some of these teams like Duquesne, they made a run in their conference tournament. That's how they made it. Illinois, they ended up pulling it out. You know, Purdue got knocked out. Wisconsin, they took down in the championship. So Illinois was tough. And then you have, a few other schools that round up that are some teams that could slide through. Your Washington State, Yale. I mean, Yale looks really good. Yale has a lot of 3-point shooters. So the East, like I said, it's going to be tough. Overall, the cities that they're played in is Brooklyn, Spokane, Omaha, and of course they move on to other cities. Right now, to kind of tell you what's going to happen, the first four is March 19th through the 20th. The first round is the March 21st through the 22nd. The second round is March 23rd through the 24th. Then you got the Sweet 16, which is March 28th through the 29th. The Elite Eight, which is March 30th through the 31st. The Final Four is going to be Saturday, April 6th. And then your NCAA championship game is going to be Monday, April 8th, where one school will bring home the glory. So overall, you got a lot of cities where they're playing. Before I break down the East and get into the bracket, let me just run this by you real quick. So the first four, like I said, Dayton, Ohio, at the University of Dayton Arena. That host school for that is the University of Dayton. The first and second rounds, here's some of the cities that are going to be hosting. So you got Brooklyn, New York at the Barclays Center, 322 through 324. That's going to be hosted by the actual A10 conference, the Atlantic 10. The other first and second round city is Charlotte, North Carolina at the Spectrum Center, 321 through 323. The University of North Carolina at Charlotte is the host city for that. The first and second round in Indianapolis is at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, March 22 through 24th. And Uwe Pui, IUPUI, the Horizon League, will be the host for that city. The first and second round for Omaha, Nebraska is at the Chi Health Center, 321 through 323. And that host school will be Creighton University. A first and second round city for Pittsburgh at the PPG Paints Arena, 321 through 323. That's where the Pittsburgh Penguins play. Duquesne University will be hosting that. The first and second round in Salt Lake City will be at the Delta Center, 321 through 323. And the host school is the University of Utah. The first and by the way, while these host schools are not always in the tournament, they're just hosting and representing that city, and they get a little bit of rep for their school and get kind of promoted while these other teams are there and get to play. So it's cool that even if they're not in the tournament, they get to be a host city. And then also that brings some fans to get to watch that might not get to always see the tournament. Okay, to continue. So the next first and second round is in Spokane, Washington, the Spokane Veterans Memorial Arena, 322 through 324. And the host school for this one's actually going to be the University of Idaho. The first and second round in Memphis, Tennessee is at the FedEx Forum, 322 through 324. And the host school will be the University of Memphis. And then you got the East Regional, which will be in Boston at TD Garden, where the Celtics play, 328 through 330. The host school will be Boston College. The South Regional will be in Dallas, Texas, at the American Airlines Center, where the Dallas Mavericks play. That's going to be 329 through 331. The host will be the whole entire Big 12 conference. The Midwest Regional is in Detroit, Michigan, at Little Caesars Arena. That's where the Red Wings and the Pistons play. Beautiful arena. Really, really cool place. I hope Kentucky gets to make it there. I might even make a trip up to the Elite Eight if I can. That's 329 through 331. That's the University of Detroit Mercy / Oakland University. So two schools are hosting that for Detroit. The West Regionals in Los Angeles, California at the Crypto.com Arena where the Lakers play. and 328 through 330. The host school for that is Pepperdine University. So a lot of schools that aren't always in the tournament, they get to host. And then your Final Four is in Phoenix, and that's at State Farm Stadium. That's 4-6 through 4-8. So that's also where your national championship is going to be. And the host school for that is Arizona State. Um, so overall, I've named you off all the locations and everything. So let's get back and break down this bracket and break down the East. So I got UConn beating Stetson. I got Florida Atlantic beating Northwestern. And then I got San Diego State beating UAB. I got Auburn beating Yale. I got Duquesne beating BYU. So that's going to be my upset there, 11th over the 8th seed. I got Illinois beating Morehead State. I got Washington State beating Drake. And I got Iowa State beating South Dakota State. So then I got UConn beating Florida Atlantic. I got San Diego State versus Auburn. I got Auburn pulling that off. I got Duquesne versus Illinois, and I got Illinois pulling that off. And then I got Washington State versus Iowa State, and I got Iowa State pulling that off. Then overall, I got UConn playing Auburn, where I have a tough, I think it's going to be a tough matchup, a good battle, but UConn pulls that off. Then I got Illinois, who's going to be end up playing Iowa State, and I think Iowa State pulls that off. And then I got Iowa State playing UConn, and I have UConn pulling it off, and I have UConn overall being the representative for the Final Four for the East part of the bracket. So I'm very excited to see how this East plays out. Got my sweet tea. I'm taking some sips. It's hitting the spot there. I knew there'd be a lot of talking, so I had to stay hydrated. But I think the East will be fun, and I think UConn represents. I think they are tough. I'm going to get into them later down in the road when I get to the Final Four. But overall, they are a tough team, and I think they can actually repeat. So now we're going to move to the West of the bracket. So you got North Carolina, number one seed, versus Howard or Wagner, the 16th seed, doing the play-in. You got Mississippi State playing Michigan State, the 8th and ninth seeds. You got 5th seed St. Mary's playing number 12 seed Grand Canyon. You got the 4th seed Alabama playing the 13th seed Charleston. You got the 6th seed Clemson playing the 11th seed New Mexico. You got the 3 seed Baylor playing the 14th seed Colgate. You got Dayton at the 7th seed playing number 10 Nevada. And you got the number 2 seed Arizona playing the 15th seed Long Beach State. So overall, that's the West. The way I see the West playing out, you got North Carolina, who's a tough team. They lost in their conference tournament, but they are always tough, and they're very, very well coached. You got Mississippi State, another SEC team. Alabama, another SEC team. So they're very physical. They're going to play well. And then Arizona, they're very tough. I've heard experts say they don't believe in them, but at that 2 seed, they got a good team, and I think they always can make a run. You always can't trust Arizona. So overall, I'm going to break down this West here for you. I think you got North Carolina versus Howard versus Wagner. It's going to be Howard, so I think North Carolina wins that. I think Mississippi State, Michigan State. I got Michigan State beating Mississippi State. St. Mary's, Grand Canyon. I got St. Mary's winning. Alabama, Charleston. I got Alabama beating Charleston. Clemson versus New Mexico. I got Clemson winning. Baylor versus Colgate. I got Baylor winning. Nevada versus Dayton. I got Dayton winning. And then Arizona, Long Beach State. I got Arizona pulling that off. So then that North Carolina, Michigan State game. I got North Carolina winning. I got St. Mary's versus Alabama. I got Alabama winning. I got Clemson versus Baylor. I got Baylor winning that. And then I got Dayton versus Arizona. I got Arizona winning that. I got North Carolina versus, Alabama, and I got North Carolina winning that. And then overall, I got Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm looking over my picks here. I got Baylor playing Arizona, and I got Arizona winning that. So I got Arizona, North Carolina there in that Elite Eight action. And I got overall, I'm going to pull Arizona winning it. So I don't think North Carolina is going to be able to beat Arizona this year. And I think Arizona will be the Final Four representative for the West. So you're going to have Arizona versus UConn there on that side of the bracket. And that's how I see it playing out. So um, now I'm going to move over to the South part of the bracket. And this is another good one. I really like this South bracket. I think it plays out very well. You got Houston at the number one seed. You got Longwood at the 16th seed. You got Nebraska at the eighth seed. Texas A&M at the ninth seed. You got Wisconsin at the fifth seed. You got James Madison at the 12th seed. Duke at the fourth seed. Vermont at the 13th seed. Texas Tech at the sixth seed. NC State at the 11th seed. Go Cats. Kentucky at the number three seed, playing Oakland at the 14th seed, which I think Kentucky's going to win big in that game. We got Florida at the number seven seed, another SEC school there. Boise State, Colorado. That's where I said Colorado's going to pop in there. I think that's going to be a tough matchup with Florida. And then you got Marquette playing Western Kentucky. So go Hilltoppers with WKU getting that 15th seed. Um, Overall, this is how I think it's going to play out. I think Houston blows out Longwood. I got Nebraska beating Texas A&M. I got Wisconsin beating James Madison. I got Duke beating Vermont. I got NC State beating Texas Tech. I got Kentucky beating Oakland. I got Florida beating Colorado. And then I got Western Kentucky beating Marquette. They're going to upset them. Marquette always seems to have tough luck, and they seem to sometimes be that two seed. But I think Western Kentucky, I'm going to give them a shot. I think they can pull it off. Um, Houston, I have them beating Nebraska. I have Wisconsin playing Duke, and I got Duke beating Wisconsin. I got overall, I got NC State and Kentucky. I got Kentucky winning that, and then I got Florida versus Western Kentucky. I got Florida winning that. Then I'm on overall. I got Houston. I got us them playing, or excuse me, them playing Duke, and I got Houston winning against Duke, and then I got Kentucky versus Florida, and Kentucky blowing out Florida. And then it's going to be Kentucky, Houston there in that Elite Eight action. And then I think Kentucky makes it to the Final Four. Not a homer, not doing that. I've said this on other sports shows. I go with my teams with my passion, but when I believe, I believe. And this Kentucky team's for real. They've had their ups and downs, but I think Kentucky can make it to the Final Four. So I think Kentucky will represent the South. And let's go, Cats. The Midwest, the last part of the bracket, the final section. So you got number one seed Purdue. You got your 16th seed Montana State versus Grambling, which I said Grambling pull that off. You got Utah State versus TCU. You got Gonzaga at the fifth seed versus McNeese, the 12th seed. You got Kansas, the fourth seed versus Samford, the 13th seed. South Carolina, the sixth seed versus Oregon, the 11th seed. Creighton, the three seed versus Akron, the 14th seed. Texas, the seventh seed versus that Virginia, Colorado State, the 10th seed matchup where Colorado State, I said, would win. And then you got Tennessee, the two seed, which they have a tough team representing the SEC. And then you got St. Peter's, the 15th seed, who always has been a big Cinderella team in March Madness history. So overall, let me break down this Midwest part of the bracket. You got Purdue versus Grambling. I think Purdue wins that big. You got Utah State versus TCU. I got Utah State winning that. You got Gonzaga versus McNeese. I say McNeese upsets Gonzaga. Gonzaga's not the same team this year. You got Kansas versus Samford. I got Kansas winning that. You got South Carolina versus Oregon. I got South Carolina winning that. Creighton versus Akron. I got Creighton winning that. And then Texas versus Colorado State. I got Texas winning that. And then overall Tennessee St. Peter's. I got Tennessee winning that. Now, when I go up Purdue versus the winner between, excuse me, there, the Purdue versus Utah State, I got Purdue winning. And then McNeese versus Kansas, I got McNeese winning. I think McNeese is going to be the Cinderella team for this year. That and Kansas is not a great team. You got South Carolina versus Creighton, and I think Creighton wins that one. And then you got Texas versus Tennessee, a little bit of a uh, Tennessee's coach used to coach at Texas, so I know that'll be a heated matchup. But I think Texas beats Tennessee there. Then I think overall you got Purdue versus McNeese, and then you got I think Purdue wins that, and then overall you have Creighton versus Texas. I think Texas wins that. So I think your Elite Eight matchup there is Texas versus Purdue, and then I think Purdue makes the Final Four. Their big man is really good down low. Of course, they've been beat a few times this year. They didn't win their conference tournament, but I think Purdue's going to make a strong run, and they'll be in the Final Four, and they'll be playing Kentucky, and they'll be representing the Midwest part of the bracket. So now we're getting to the Final Four. So I got UConn and Arizona playing, and Kentucky and Purdue. So overall, I got Kentucky beating Purdue, and they're going to make the national championship. And then I got UConn beating Arizona, and they're going to win the national championship. Now, I'm manifesting a Kentucky Wildcat championship, and that's what I want to happen. But my overall national championship winner is the UConn Huskies. They're very tough. They're a great team. I think they're going to go back to back. They've dominated the tournament before, and I think they are just too tough to handle. But overall, of course, I want my Cats to win. But just to keep it real and to give you all a straightforward and a real NCAA Division One preview, the UConn Huskies are the national champion, in my opinion. That's the Bible with Sleazy, the podcast, NCAA Division One preview for the March Madness tournament. So overall, you got a lot of big teams. You got some teams that haven't been there in a while. You got some teams that are there every year. I'm really looking forward to this season. I think we're going to have a few Cinderella runs, and not this season, excuse me, this tournament. I think we're going to have a few Cinderella runs. I think Kentucky makes a huge run, like I said. I like to see these local teams from Kentucky do well. Morehead State, Western Kentucky, the University of Kentucky. I love to see it, and I'm hoping, that overall my picks are very factual and right. I've been doing some research. I've been watching shows all day, and I've been glued into these tournaments. I won $90 on the Big Illinois win today in their conference tournament. So it's always fun watching the conference tournaments and then gearing up for Selection Sunday and then bam, the tournaments here. And it's so exciting. It makes like the workday fun. It makes your life fun. It makes like turn on the radio fun. And there's games all day, especially the first couple rounds. So if you love basketball, if you love college basketball, it's March Madness, baby, and it's fucking here. So this is the Vibing with Sleazy, the podcast March Madness preview for 2024. Again, I hope the Kentucky Wildcats can pull it off, but I want to thank everybody for listening and downloading. I think the UConn Huskies will be the champion. If you want to ask any questions, if you want any questions for your bracket, message me, holler at me. If you want to talk about the bracket, if you want to brag about your bracket, let me know. Also, leave 5 stars on all the platforms where you listen. Bible with Sleazy, the podcast on Facebook, Instagram, BibleWithSleazy.com, the website. You can listen to all past episodes. There's new episodes, and I got more episodes coming for season 5. So thank you all for riding with me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this got you excited for March Madness and it's got you ready for the tournament. And let's watch some basketball, people, and enjoy. So we got a big tournament coming, and this is March Madness, baby. Peace.